Hello, hello. This is the podcast, girls. Oh shit!
That was my part. I was like, this girl. She's taking away everything.
Okay,
go for it.
Take number 2. Hello, hello.
This is the podcast, girls.
And the city. You are welcomed by your 2 lovely co-hosts, me, Susanna, who is great at giving advice to others but fails miserably in solving her own shit.
And me, Elizabeth, who tries to make it through with her fake confidence but is really a shy baby on the inside. But anyways, each week we will discuss an episode of Sex and the City, answer and reflect on the main question while sharing our personal experiences, giving it a modern twist. How are you, Susie?
Well, we've had a little bit of chit-chat before we officially started, so... but we haven't actually asked. Oh, there's the dog. He came back. We haven't asked each other how are we, so how am I? I'm good. I am back home with this super cool yellow background that my 10 years old Susanna chose to be the color of her room.
Very bright, very sunny.
It is. I think it's not the worst. But yeah, different background. I'm really, really looking forward to Christmas, which is coming next week. I think this episode will be released probably very likely after Christmas and New Year's Eve. So we're a little bit ahead with recording because we love you so much and we love doing this so much that we actually do it in advance. Whoa. In case something goes down. But yeah, I am also for the first time doing this without the glasses. Any glasses, so I will see how that goes, because usually I have to have my glasses when I'm looking into a screen. And last week I just looked like someone punched me in my face. So I chose to wear sunglasses.
No one actually punched her in the face, just hope everyone knows.
No
She's not being abused, she's safe, I promise.
I am being abused by, meeting beauty standards.
Aren't we all overwhelmed?
Prevention, guys, prevention. At some point when you are in your late 20s, you need to start doing your stuff. So I was a little bit puffy under my eyes last week, but now I am beautiful again. So yeah, I am starting to feel the atmosphere. Finished my week yesterday at work, and next week everything I'm planning to do is do nothing, eat a lot, bake, meet friends and family, and chill, probably to the point where I can't do it anymore, so I will go to the gym.
Wait, so your pastime is to go to the gym?
Oh yeah.
What happened to just chilling?
Honestly, it makes me feel better if I exercise. I think I might be slightly addicted to that after feeling.
How do you do that? My week is like, I'm a gremlin. I live at home and I work from home. I leave my house pretty much just to walk my dog and to go boxing like 3 times a week. But that's not it.
Wait, I thought you do it like once, or what happened?
No. Like, because I got the unlimited plan, and yeah, I have to make use of it, obviously. So I go like 3 times a week. It's fun. But I don't socialize with people otherwise. It's kind of scary. Except for like maybe like neighbors.
Unless when you go out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
That's the thing. Maybe I try to overcompensate because I sit at home all the time. But that being said, yeah, I'm trying to do something a little more fun this weekend.
What did you do yesterday? Did you go out?
Gosh, yesterday. I didn't go out, so I went to like a friend of a friend's birthday, and it was at their house. It's kind of like an older group of people like in their 40s, late 40s.
I hope no one that is in their 40s is listening to us. Actually, there is someone. We checked the stats, and you just called them
We checked the
old.
stats. I mean, it's only like 3%, but hey, thanks
You're
for
not
listening.
old. You are just,
You're not. No. Just like it's just
mature
different. Like
enough.
yeah, just like a good wine.
Exactly. Unless
But
you are a toxic person.
yeah, but it was a cool party because like I talked to people. Like someone worked at the EPA, which is I believe the Environmental Protection Agency. They're doing like now a master's in environmental science, and I talked to someone else about like barbecuing and smoking techniques. So like it was a cool like you know
That's useful information.
yeah, it is right. It's like no one is like talking about like I don't know silly like childish things, which is it was cool. Yeah, and
That's
then I
why
brought
we
my
do
dog,
podcasts.
and then it's why we do podcasts. But yeah, otherwise I'll probably do something more fun because it's just the start of my Saturday.
Right. Is your dog okay?
He just has things to say on the podcast.
No,
Marvin,
that's okay. You don't have to
get
mute
your own
yourself.
podcast, buddy.
No, actually, I realized that I didn't say anything about my week besides the fact that I was working. But I went for a networking event yesterday in Slovakia.
Ooh, okay. How did you
And
find it?
So I'm part of this group for some years now, and they just organize events and activities throughout the year. But like a Christmas, yeah, I think it's a called party, even though it was more very chill. Like it wasn't actually people, partying and dancing. It was more like food and some program, and like then you chat with people. I know some people already, which is nice. And yesterday I really wasn't feeling it. I was literally walking to that place with my small high heel shoes and dress, and I was like, oh my god, I really don't want to go. Like convincing myself that I need to
How
network.
cold was it? How cold was it?
It wasn't that bad. I think it was like around one
Okay.
one
Still though,
degree.
heels
Yeah, it's
and
fine. They're like
cold.
this tiny, like not big at all. But then it was nice. What I think I kind of failed was I just sticked with people I knew, and there are so many interesting people that were there, but I could not make myself go and have this initial small talk about what do you do? Oh, that's interesting. What do you do exactly there? And blah blah blah. And until you get to like deep stuff.
Yeah. No, I've always been so bad at networking, and like even when I just moved here, I was trying to get myself to like networking-esque meetup events, and they were cool. But like I was like I got there and I was like, should I just leave? Should I just like turn around and
Yeah.
go? It was like and
I
it's
literally
that
force
initial
myself
thing.
every time to do this.
Yeah, and I thought that was like only a problem when I was like in high school or college. No, I'm just a shy
No.
person. But the problem is like when I just meet people and I tell them I'm shy, like 5 minutes later, like we're chatting, we're actually like I'm opening up to them. They're like, "You're not shy at all," and I was like,
I
"It's
don't
just that
think you're
initial thing."
shy. I don't think you're shy. But I can
I
see
share with new
like
people.
how you might be shy in approaching people. Whereas
Yeah,
it's me, I'm like I can't be bothered to have this initial chit chat before you actually get to something interesting. And then you never know
Zana just wants
if
the
it
deep stuff.
yeah, exactly. Like you never know if it's gonna, turn into something interesting, or you just continue having like small talk and you're just thinking
Yeah,
inside of you, oh my god, how do I get out of this?
right.
So that was my yesterday, and I also, because I was back home at my family's place, they have a cat, so I had like a fun small interactions with the cat. One of them was particularly funny. So I called the UK immigration office because long story short, UK is no longer in the EU, and I had to check some information.
It's been a while since they haven't been in the EU.
Yeah, but it's affecting me only now. And okay, that made me sound very stupid, but it was not like everyone knows. But so it's almost impossible to reach even the AI agent that kind of directs you to, hello, you reached the immigration office, blah blah. Like what is it the call you are like wanting to make, and then you do the selection,
I've never
and
called
then
them.
yeah, because it's impossible. So if you call during the day, it's
Is
impossible
the
to reach
website
that.
not good enough?
They have a chat bot that is not useful at all, and then they don't have
Yeah,
an
I can
email
imagine.
address, like no email address that you can ask your question
Yeah.
and send it. So I called them at 8 a.m., which is like the starting time of their working hours, and I was
Right.
able to reach this AI assistant. And then once you get in, you always are in the queue, and the waiting time is 1 hour and more.
Oh god.
So
That's
I was like,
insane.
yay, I'm gonna wait this time, because before I always had to drop just because I had other calls during the day that I had to do at my work.
Actual work.
Exactly. And this cat was sleeping in the box, the carton box next to me. And I put
Yeah.
the phone on the speaker because I was, like, I'm gonna wait 1 hour with this music every 5 minutes, switching, and every 1 minute the automated voice saying, you are next in line. Your waiting time is blah blah blah. I am not kidding you. The moment I turned the speaker on, the cat woke up. He walked out of this box, looked at me horribly, like,
What are you doing?
what the fuck are you doing? And until I did not turn that thing and put it into my earphones, the cat was literally staring at me. And then
Do you
once
mind?
once I put my earphones in and I was listening all this beautiful music, waiting music in my earphones, he went back to sleep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh my god.
But anyway, shall we move to the episode?
Yeah, let's get into it. So we're on episode 7.
Yes.
Again, I feel like any of my friends who've listened to our podcast so far were like, should I be watching the episodes as I listen to your episodes? I actually think yes. If you
That
guys,
would be the best. Yeah.
yeah, before you watch, like, and they align, so like it's 1-to-1. We watch an episode, we talk about it. So I think even for me as a refresher, because I've seen the show millions of times, but it's good to watch it and then talk about it. So for any
But
listeners, I hope you've watched episode 7. It's the monogamists one.
but for those who did not, I will give you a short summary, although I
Sure.
still think it's better to watch it in advance, because
Totally.
maybe in the future we will involve you again, and
Exactly.
then your input will be very valuable, as it
Yeah.
always is. Alright, so this episode, called The Monogamist, explores the theme of exclusivity, dating with intentions, and the expectations people bring into relationships, and blowjobs. It is in this episode that I would say highlights so far the toxicity of Carrie's and Mr. Big's relationship the most. To be continued.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and we are seeing all 4 characters having their individual stories, again, as well as the street interviews, which I think is nice because they kind of disappeared in some episodes, but I think it's very cool to have them. So, summary of the plots themselves. Carrie is enjoying, and it's in like the initial phase of relationship where you have butterflies and everything is great with Mr. Big, but she quickly realizes that they aren't seeing the seriousness of their commitment towards each other equally. After discovering that he is casually dating other women while dating her as well.
She ran into him on a date, which is crazy. But yeah, keep going.
And then, not only that, but when he took her to this party where I think it was kind of like officially bringing her on as a woman I'm seeing and introducing her to his friends, he meets another woman there who is clearly, I don't know if they are sleeping together, but there was...
Or they have in the
definitely
past.
Yeah, there's definitely something has been between them. And then when he introduced Carrie to his friend, he said like, oh, let me introduce you this phenomenal woman. And the friend just guess wrong name. He's like, "Oh, Julia," and Carrie's like, "No."
But Julia is the woman that he was on a date with.
Is that Julia?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Well, that means that he's probably not seeing that many women, but still seeing multiple women. And this leads to a lot of messy situations and reactions from both of them, which are definitely not healthy, and ultimately her to confront him about his intentions in this relationship and how monogamous he wants to be, because she wants to be in a monogamous relationship. Which, yeah, as I said earlier, kind of puts their relationship into a little bit uncomfortable position and shows once again that their relationship is far from a healthy one, but to be discussed later. Meanwhile, Charlotte begins dating yet another perfect man. I think like every second episode she's dating a perfect man who is always described like,
well, she's looking
the best
for
out of
perfection. Best. She's a woman that knows what she wants, and so
as she should, until there is a but. Oh, and I don't mean but as like the body part. But this perfect man is overly fixated on receiving blowjobs, which is something Charlotte does not appreciate doing, and she feels forced in performing them just to satisfy him, and ultimately makes her question the balance in their intimacy and how far should she try to continue this relationship. Samantha is having her own twist of monogamy, meaning she's looking for an apartment and dating / seeing multiple agents, where one is a man that she's also casually sleeping with. Nothing out of ordinary with Samantha. And that's pretty much it. Miranda, on the other side, I would say not the best episode for Miranda. So I think I would compare her to behaving like Mr. Big quite a lot in this episode, because she meets her ex situationship, I think is the best
poor
definition. Skipper, who is dating another woman, and they just randomly run into each other. After she's seeing him with another woman, she gets jealous and calls him in a rather intimate moment where, of course, she doesn't know. Yeah, but he's basically having sex with this other woman while she calls him, and he picks up.
Continues the conversation.
And agrees to meet with Miranda, and then immediately breaks up with this girl that he's having sex with while still having sex. That is horrible, but also afterwards they meet, they obviously sleep together, and Skipper is just in love with Miranda, and he really thought that this was it. And after he kind of suggests that, she's like, oh no, we should just see other people, this is just like nothing serious, and breaks his heart eventually again, where he then runs out and like storms out, very sad, from her apartment, being heartbroken.
He said he's not a private stud horse.
Yes, I feel sorry for him. I mean, she really did do him dirty here, because
he's
she
mentioned
knew
it
exactly.
on our nice guys list.
Yeah, she definitely knew what she was doing here. But, you know, a lot of these things will be, I have further questions I want to ask about these. But that's pretty much the summary of the episode. Where the main question we get from Carrie is, in a city like New York, with its infinite possibilities, has monogamy become too much to expect? So,
yeah. I mean, if I could start with 1 second. Another topic I wanted to raise from the beginning of the episode is the fact that Carrie is so infatuated in her honeymoon phase with Big, she does disappear from like her friend group.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is such a I try to think. I feel like I've done that before. You know, it's like
I mean, I would never expect that you say this.
No, it's just like, and it's not like, not in like my recent relationships, but I think when I was younger and like in high school, I did have like friends who've been like, oh, you've been absent, you've changed, like that kind of thing.
Oh,
And so like that I feel like happen. It's pretty common that that happens, but like, yeah, like
I
what is
mean,
your thought on that?
I actually I did write this down. I was like dodging your friends for a man question mark. Um I don't think, I mean, my opinion about, and I think it's like more general opinion, not necessarily only specific to the situation, is if you change as a person, either by how you behave or how important you find reaching to your friends the moment you meet someone, I think that is not a good sign. You should have someone in your life to add to it rather than to take
Right.
over it. And if it is the latter, that means that something wasn't probably fully working, or like you haven't figured out how to be alone and have your own life, and that when you met someone you kind of made your life around that person, which I think Harry definitely did, even though she has like great life on her own. Like she has a great career, she has great friends, she's a socialite, so a lot of
Right.
interaction in that area. But somehow she got like completely obsessed about big and dropped a lot of things that was making her happy, and basically the character of Carrie that we all have in mind when we talk about it. So
Yeah.
I think it's not good. Have I done it? Probably, maybe to some extent.
Yeah. I
um
think it's kind of like it sets you up for, because again, it's not that there's like people are not two halves that are coming together. They're two fully functional people with full, hopefully full lives that are coming together in a relationship. So for example, if you right away become so codependent, then you are set up for like almost getting hurt, because to her, she was so fully committed to Big, and then she kind of, I think, expected the same thing from him, but they never had the conversation. It's like the exclusivity was kind of like implied, but it wasn't there. And I think because she was so full force of like, I'm gonna fully devote my time to you, is when she gets hurt and upset by it because he's not doing the same thing. But like, she's not been going back to her normal life of like seeing her friends, like focusing on her career. She's just been so infatuated with this like idea of the relationship.
I think, when you said she was focusing on this idea, I think that's like good point to mention. She stopped focusing on her and started to focusing on him,
Yeah.
and made that a priority over focusing on her. And I think that is where all of this starts to go to shit, because he's focusing on himself and she's focusing on him and making sure that he stays with her.
Yeah.
Um, to what extent that is working with him, I can't really say. He's hard to read, and I think analyzing why he's doing what he's doing is just like guessing what can go through his head, but you
Yeah.
can't really know for sure. He might just be messed up from, I don't know,
I mean,
previous
I also
relationships.
just think like he's taking it nice and slow, where she's just like, let's go full force lovey dovey. Whereas he's like, I'm testing it out. I'm seeing like dating
Wait,
other
so
people.
you think what he's
Whereas,
doing is correct?
I mean, they've never had the conversation. They barely had their first date. They slept together. Um,
No, that wasn't it like the beginning of the episodes, like these initial weeks when you like meet and like you want to spend all the time together
Yeah,
and
but
go
they
on
never
dates.
showed the conversation of like, hey, we're exclusive. And I'm not saying like I do think that like the exclusivity almost does is sometimes in relationships is implied and it feels like it, and you know that person's not seeing anyone else. But in other cases, like I think she just assumes
Huh.
it.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you when you've been in relationships, have you
Yeah.
had this conversation that, okay, are we now exclusive? And until
Yeah,
that,
I was
wait, wait,
kind of
wait,
like,
wait.
yeah,
Like,
sorry.
have you had this conversation? That's first question. And and if yes, did it automatically mean for you that you can just meet other people at the same time, and you kind of thought or knew that the other person is doing that as well?
Yeah, I think so. Like,
Hmm.
at least in the initial stages of dating, right? We talked about this last time, the different stages. They're interpreted in many, many
Oh
ways.
yeah.
But in my past relationships, I was more of like a Charlotte in the situation because remember, she was walking back from the movie theater and she was with this guy, and he's like, hey, I kind of want to stop seeing other people. And for me, it's happened in a very similar way, very natural, kind of like that. Like being like, hey, we've been spending a lot of time together. I'd actually like to pursue like a exclusive relationship out of this. And it's been
Hmm.
addressed that way. And I don't
Was it
find
in
it
the
offensive.
US or was it in Europe?
Both.
Interesting.
Just because, like, yeah, I don't know. I think, like, good communication is always key. But you also don't want to be the one that, like, is sitting there being like, are we exclusive? Like, that's the carry of the situation, being like, oh, like, you're on a date? I thought we were, like, together. Um, so I'd say so. I think that's, like, the right thing to do.
I would say, I mean, I can't really say if I have had this question in present in every relationship or something that I've started in my life. But for me, it's usually more about like you feel it. Like for example, if you look at the relationship between Miranda and Skipper, I would never need to expect to have this conversation from Skipper because you already can see it on his actions and how he prioritizes you in his life
Yeah.
or how much effort he's putting. Um and obviously like it's always good to just be like, okay, you know, like are we dating now or like are we is this like real whatever? And just kind of like confirm that. But I I would say there was majority of the relationships that I took seriously. I could always feel that that person is serious, and I didn't feel that they are looking or dating other people because they were committed. I felt secure, and I think again, I
Yeah.
think I mentioned this before. Carrie is not feeling secure from the very very beginning in this relationship, and this is just another example why, because you can clearly see that Mr. Big is not committed. He is, I don't know what he's doing, maybe having fun, maybe figuring out his dating goals. Maybe just like trying to understand whether he likes her or not, whereas she is like, she is in probably somehow in love already, and she has been obsessed with him for a few episodes now, doesn't want
Right.
to see other people. She literally even says that sometimes in the episode, saying, mm, 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 mm.
She said that towards the end of like when he showed up.
I mean, that's when she asked him, but throughout the episode, when she gets very disappointed about how he's behaving, she goes out with this guy or like meets him on multiple occasions, and then she comes home and she is literally saying, how suddenly what happened that she's suddenly feeling exhausted when other men are hitting on her, whereas
Yeah.
before she enjoyed it. I think there's like a clear sign that you are basically in love and are seriously interested in someone because you are not interested in other people. And
But
he
that's the thing is
is,
like they that she's kind of assuming this that they've started a relationship. They never had a conversation about it. They never because like it's the same thing of
yeah.
like whether you talk about being exclusive or not, but like a relationship kind of alludes to the fact that you'll be exclusive and not dating other people, but they've never had that conversation. It's all in her head,
I mean,
unfortunately.
I am giving you like maybe there's some truth in it because we don't know or we don't see all their interactions that has been going on.
Sure.
Obviously, it might very easily be that she is making this bigger than it is, and they have really seen each other a few times on rather casual basis. Um, but it also might be that it was quite serious and she might have just been ignoring some signals that she should have not because she likes him so much.
Yeah. But then, like, he also comes out with the phone call when he's like, I miss you, baby.
Oh my god, like, that's what I mean. Like, this is like the most fucking toxic episode of their relationship so far. When I saw it, I was like, are you joking?
Okay.
You can't do that.
What would you do in that situation?
Roll my eyes? For sure. That would be I did roll my eyes even when I was watching it. I mean, he takes her to this party where a guy, his friend, wrongly guessed her name, and then he calls her, I don't know if it's next day or whatever, saying, hi, baby, I miss you.
No, wasn't it before?
I miss you, baby.
Because he, after
Oh, was it?
No. It was before that. And then he called her being like, are we still, like, on? They still go to this party. Then because they have that, like, fight at the party where he's like, what do you want from me? And then she's like, what do I want from you? I don't want anything from you. And she storms off, which I've been guilty of that before. And then she's like, whatever, fine. She goes to the other party to meet that, like, author. And then he's like, oh, you're so funny. I'm like, I'm in love with you. Do you want to go home with me? And at that point, she's like, wait, let me make a call. And so she makes a super toxic call to him, being like, I'm at this super cool party, this off. Exactly. But, like, the I miss you, baby was before all of that.
Anyway, he did something that was not in line. Or I don't know, honestly.
It almost seems sarcastic, no?
I mean, if you're going on the other dates and then you meet one of your people that you're dating while being on a date with another one, and then next day you call them saying I miss you, baby. That's just old, you know, like these tricks. No,
it hurts.
And she fell for it. That's the worst thing.
Yeah, because then she was talking to Miranda. She's like, oh, is that like code of like, I'm so sorry I was on a date with another woman?
I mean, so this is where I thought about when, and you know, it's not like it's my observation from several talks with men where I ask them this question. Men will tell you exactly how it is at the very beginning. If they are serious with you, they will tell you, and if they are just casually seeing you, they will also tell you. So he definitely has told her whatever his intentions were at that moment. And the moment we feel like, again, we are not secure in where we stand, because if he is clear, and especially if he's interested, you will never have this feeling that you need to overanalyze what's happening, because you just feel the security from his commitment and effort. And if you start to overanalyze, that just means that something is off because you don't feel fully secure.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, again, I'm not saying this is just men versus, you know, like women overanalyzing and men being always this
because then we mean Skipper.
Control. Yeah, because it can be also the other way around. And I was in both situations. I also can very easily see when you are not really sure, or you are using that person as a placeholder or as someone to get over, that you will kind of try to keep it casual as much as possible, and you know that these people are falling for you, but you know, you kind of, I think then there is a question how much you care about that person and how selfish you are, because if you say you care about someone, why would you then continue doing something that you know will hurt them at some point, because you will eventually kind of leave or stop it? And that's something, you know.
I think it's the quote from his friend at the party. It was like, if you're looking for material for your column, you're dating the right man. Like, oh my god, his friends were digging him deeper and deeper and deeper.
Also, like, what a shitty friend. What a shitty friend.
He was drunk at a party. It's like...
Was he drunk or was he just a dickhead? Sorry for my
I mean, probably
language.
both.
Like, if you are a real friend, you would not say this about your friend because you want to protect them, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
messy episode,
But then, okay, but
um,
Carrie was also kind of toxic right back because then the whole conversation with the author Jared, she was like,
yeah. But
she was
come on,
trying to get a reaction out of him.
who has not done this? I definitely did this like drama shit in my life before, and that's because I was clearly, interested in someone, and I was not getting the signals that I needed, so I just
Yeah.
randomly used not used is a really bad word, interacted with someone else that I knew had a interest in me and I needed to boost my ego or made some kind of reaction.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Haven't you done that? I mean,
Oh no, I definitely have.
exactly. Is it good? I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's the most mature thing to do. I don't think it ever really like ends well. Because if you have to do that, you're clearly not feeling secure in a relationship,
Or whatever
and
that is that you are in.
yeah, in that case. But hey, going back to a more committed part of the episode, Charlotte.
Okay.
Okay, again,
What do you want
Charlotte
to?
met
What
this
do you want to
perfect
bring
man.
me?
That's why we have to discuss the elephant in the room, and I think we'll have to mark this episode as explicit. It's fine. Because I actually did research on this.
All right, go for it. You have the full room space.
Okay, so anyways, not that we're trying to make it sound like it is an elephant in the room, but all right, Charlotte, our sweet, sweet Charlotte, who's a woman with boundaries, knows exactly what she wants, met this guy who's very much into her, but they're playing what she's calling, or what I think Carrie called it, the blowjob tug of war. And it's so funny enough, I know exactly what she's talking about, and I feel like every woman at some point can relate to that. But it's just interesting, like, the approaches that they have and the fact that they actually brought in the conversation of power into it. Because you know how we talked about how, like, beauty is power, intelligence is power. And this is one of those things that I think is, like, yet another tool in the toolkit. But, like,
Blowjob is
I...
a form of power. It is.
No, but that's, like... So, okay, so for full context, I talked to two of my friends because I was just really curious, and all of us have very different perspectives on it. And all of us, I mean, just in generally, like, when we're talking about sex and things like that, we have very different perspectives and approaches, which is, I think, adds very fun color to our friend group. But, I've never seen it as a power thing, but then at that point I kind of understood it. And like we're actually, I think, like, I'm gonna name. I mean, you can veto me, but the name of this episode is gonna be Best ROI. Because I thought that was hilarious. Because my friends literally were talking about it. Let me pull up my exact notes and quotes.
Go for it.
Oh my god, it's like, where was it?
Still writing down your notes on the paper.
A very classic. Anyways, like, so one of my friends, and I kid you not, quoted it as, it's my like my time to shine. It's a superpower. And then if it's like something like that you can be really good at, then like he will remember you for it. Like those kinds of things.
Beautiful.
And yeah, Best ROI killed me the most.
That's it. That's the name of this episode.
And the thing is, like, if you're good at it, it could be like one of the best compliments. So I was like, I've never seen it that way because, like,
How have you seen it?
I don't know. I just like thought it was just part of it. I've never thought of it as like a power thing. And I mean, Samantha has the same point, right? She's like, oh, there's nothing more powerful than having like a man by his balls. And I was like, oh, Samantha. Because like we have very different perspectives in the episode, right? So Charlotte's like, I'm just not doing it. I'm not having
She doesn't
fun.
like it.
Don't enjoy it. And to her, like, I think she even got so upset. She literally told the guy that she basically told him, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm expecting this to be... Yeah, she was like, "Are you seriously gonna be losing like a really good girl who is probably gonna be like the mother of your children or something like this?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be like a non-negotiable for
I
me."
mean, as much as I see her point, I also see his point because I give her credit that when you don't like something, especially when it comes to intimacy and sex,
Yeah,
you should not feel forced to do it. At the same
setting your
time,
boundaries.
exactly. At the same time, if you want to marry someone or thinking about them as my potential life partner, and you are not sexually at the same page, I don't think it's gonna work. Like
Yeah,
if this was such a big and important thing for him, it was deemed to fail anyway. So it might
yeah,
just like they might just stop it at the beginning. So I don't think neither of them was wrong. It was just like, okay, we are clearly not compatible enough on this level, and so it will not work.
yeah, for sure. And then we have Miranda, who's like, "Hey, I think of it as
I
more of
love her
like a."
quote. She
Yeah,
was
she's
like,
like,
I
"I
only
only
give
give."
heads to get heads.
But then Charlotte's like, I don't even want that. She's like, well, then it's off the table. Like, don't worry about it. So like, I love all their different perspectives on it. Again, I think it does come to like personal preferences. I also think it just comes like to the person. I think even down for me, like, I think that's with any sexual activities. Like, you have to have like a good dynamic, good chemistry in order for any of it to work. Um,
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like it? 1 being the
Okay,
king.
it really depends. It really
1
depends on
being
the
like the
person.
least, and 10.
Um I'm telling you, it's the most LC answer, but it really depends on the person. It's like just like with anything. It's like even if you take something as simple as kissing, right? If you have someone who's a bad kisser or doesn't vibe with your kissing dynamic, as much as I enjoy kissing, I'm not gonna enjoy kissing them.
You can always teach them, though. I do agree that if they are like, if they are like, if the first time is not the vibe, it's ick. But you can like guide
If it
them, and
doesn't
I
give
think
you,
it's
oh, I don't know. I've once
it's
had
probably
someone
not gonna
who
work
was
out.
I once kissed someone who I'm not kidding was like wanted to bite my lip off, and I was like, I don't need to be bit.
Did you say that?
Like no, like I didn't actually. I was just like, oh, just like slow down, because like, and that kissing was never gonna be good. I was just like, I'm not a meal to be consumed.
Again, did you say that? Because that would be hilarious if you would literally say
I
that.
didn't want to make it feel bad.
Of course, that's a shy and nice Elizabeth. In her mind, she's like, oh my, I really, really hate it. Don't fucking bite me. She was like,
No, at some point I stopped. I was like, obviously I have the
I
boundary
have
to
to
just
go home.
stop. I gotta
Sorry.
go. But that's what I'm saying. I was like, I don't know. I agree that things can be perfected. Things can also develop over time. I get it. But sometimes it's just so bad that you just like, there's no hope.
I think, both of these examples are skills. You
True. True.
you might be naturally good at kissing from the first time you do it, but
Yeah.
it also might be that you are not and you need to practice. And if no one gives you feedback ever, you just continue doing whatever you do
Yeah.
without knowing that it's bad. So I'm always for feedback, and I always ask for feedback. And yes, I am now talking about sexual preferences and all this stuff.
Yeah.
With blowjob specifically, I think once you understand how to do it, it's more enjoyable because you see that the reaction that it brings in the other person
Yeah.
um, is, a pleasure, a pleasant experience, and it kind
Right.
of makes you enjoy it more if you like the person, or if you just like to, yeah, be feeling that you have power over them. Go for it. I mean, sex has always been the main weapon that women use to get information out of men. In spies, for example. So I would not blame
Really
you.
going back to our Eastern European stereotypical roots here.
I didn't say Eastern European. Like that's what you assumed.
Majority of the movies are. Unless you're
Movies.
like,
I'm talking about the real shit, Elizabeth.
oh yeah,
Real,
but okay,
real.
but what are movies based on?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay. Anything else that we didn't cover on that topic?
So you basically gave me zero answer. Very diplomatic one.
I told you it depends. Like, it depends on the person.
Hmm.
And it depends, like, how comfortable they are with me, how comfortable I am with them, like, just like anything else, I think.
Yeah, but then you would not say the same about kissing, right? You would say, I am pretty good with kissing, probably.
I don't know. I've not been given that compliment, so I'm wondering if I'm bad.
Okay, maybe that's for like off-mic analysis.
Okay, I guess we have to come back to our question of, do men have an innate aversion to monogamy? Because I got some answers to that one too from my friends. Before
Okay.
we get to the episode conclusion, I'll tell you
Yes.
what they said.
Let's do that.
One of the quotes is, "It certainly seems so."
Oh. Oh. What the hell happened to your friend? I think we should elaborate on that in the next episode.
No, but based on the episode, it also certainly seems so.
I mean, that's it because Miranda is doing the same thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, the other portion of it is, like, you need to be straight up front, otherwise you end up being led on and then a non-monogamous situationship, which is true. It's exactly what happens to Carrie. And the other thing that was, like, really good that I thought was, like, do you think that men at some point, like, is it predetermined to them that you are going to be someone that they're going to be dating exclusively?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or, like, is it something that they eventually settle on in their mind? So, one of my friends actually said a really good quote, and this kind of has stuck with me, is that men settle once they realize that their lives are easier with women in them than they are more ready to settle.
Which is actually scientifically proven. When they are in marriage, they are happier and better off than if they are single, versus for women it's the other way around.
Yeah, that hits a little hard. Is the fact that, but it's also like, isn't that a little backwards? Because, like, stereotypically, like, we see movies and things that I was like, it's always like the women who are the hopeless romantics. Carrie, for example, right? Who are, like, just trying to chase down a guy to, like, get in a relationship with him. But then, yeah, we realize at the end of the day, marriage or, like, long-term relationships, partnerships, whatever, are better off for men because they're forever, like, taken care of. But it's always like, I mean, obviously it's different in other situations, but
I think me judging how it is to be in long-term relationship and marriage would be probably not really appropriate because I don't know. Like, I don't have this experience yet. I can just base it from whatever other people say or my observation. But the truth is, and I always follow this, unless I experience it, it's just a hypothesis for me. So I think it might be very much a case, but then you probably failed in setting up the dynamics from very beginning, or you just settled for less that you should have. Or it's just like, I mean, every relationship has, like, if it's long term, it's a dynamic, right? You never go, like, even with your parents and family, when you live with them every day, there were moments and times where you just didn't get along and you had an argument or it was just bad. Yeah. Because, I don't know, that day you were not aligned at all. I don't know. I would hope to say that I want to I want to get a conclusion in a few years that as much as I'm taking care of them, they are also taking care of me. Maybe the type of care is different, because I think I might need slightly different type of care that my partner needs, and you need to understand what it is and communicate about it and care for each other. And if you're not getting that, I think probably wrong relationship rather than men just are getting out more than women.
Yeah. And I think it also goes back to the whole, like, topic I think we even had in the first episode of, like, strong, independent women seemingly, according to guys, don't need anything except for like they can also manage taking care of a guy and like assisting his needs.
But I think it's a coping mechanism.
For women or for men?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were raised or made to be that, because at some point they felt too vulnerable. And again, this is not necessarily for women, but like I think in our case it's a little bit more sensitive, because we are always perceived as like a more feminine, more sensitive, more gentle creatures, and they just probably overdevelop their masculine part, and kind of fear to give it up because they don't feel secure enough.
Yeah, but it's also like an interesting observation. So, for example, we take I'm just gonna be super stereotypical here in general, but like the millennial generation and the women that like I've seen a ton of videos of them being like, we were raised on like girl boss, like hyper hustle culture to a point that like we've become so uberly independent that we still have needs, but we're bad at realizing them. And this actually really hit hard when I was watching an interview about Katy Perry, who was like, basically, I think they're talking about a breakup with her in Orlando at some point before they got back together and actually end up getting married. But she was like in the breakup, and then they like reconnected, and then she's like, I realized something about myself. She's like, it's not that I can't do things on my own. It's just like sometimes I over stress myself because I'm like, I can't do it on my own. I don't need anyone. But then she's like, I do realize that like actually I could pull back a little bit more, and I actually could use some help, and I could use some like care. And that's part of the thing is like, and I'm also guilty of this, like a lot of the times I'm really bad at asking for help, whether it's like not even just from like my romantic partners, but like from my friends. And I have like one really good friend of mine who always reminds me, she's like, hey, you gotta ask for help. You just can't, you can do things on your own, but at what cost? And I think it comes back to that whole thing of like, it has to be a balance of both things. And that's why like it's important to find someone that does understand your needs, and like from maybe an observational perspective where you're like better at communicating it, be like, hey, I could do this on my own, but I'd really appreciate it if you could help out, that kind of thing. So I don't know if men have an aversion to exclusivity, but I think that there is still that like element of the black cat and like the golden retriever situation, because I think like with Mr. Big, he is definitely being the black cat. He's like, oh, I like will figure out what I want. I'll test out the field, and Carrie is just chasing and chasing and chasing.
And you know, like, never want your man to be black cat. That's the conclusion of this theory.
Yeah, just forget him and move on.
I think they are usually, they know from a very beginning whether you are a wife material or to be married material.
Which is crazy. How do they know?
I don't know. Like, this is one of the things that I think we are just wired completely differently, because I need a lot of time to get to know the person before I can say. I want to see them in like how they react in different situations, how they deal with conflict, stress.
Travel with them.
Yeah. Always
see how they handle stressful situations.
And how they handle me going crazy, and also how much they care to get to know me. All of these you need like time. Versus for them is like, oh yeah, from like first date I knew this is the girl I want to marry, or like no, this is just like a placeholder. Wow. And then second thing is, I think there is also a big difference if they. I thought this is just a Google thing.
No, it's an iOS thing.
What? And then it goes to how?
It's based on your things that you do, so I can do it like that.
But I thought it's like a part of the application rather than like iOS.
No, it's part of iOS. I think this is balloons, yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely balloons, but I thought it was like Google only. Okay, sorry. Let me just finish this. Thank you. I love you too. And it only took us 7 episodes to say that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, second thing. there is also time where I think men just know I'm ready now to settle down, and even if they meet someone before they feel like I want to settle down now, they will not seriously be considering it because they feel they're not ready yet to go to that next level. Which I also have heard multiple times.
And that's the other thing, is like another thing I was like hearing about is like, if a guy is telling you that he doesn't want a relationship or he's not ready yet, it's like basically
That's
run.
the truth.
If that's something like you are wanting and he's not giving to you, he's not going to change his mind.
Exactly, that's what I said. They always tell you exactly how it is, and they will tell you pretty much.
Well, sometimes they won't, but if they're saying it, believe it.
But I mean, come on, you are not stupid. No, like every woman is pretty good in like reading in between the lines and aware of all the signals.
Yeah.
You always know, like the way they talk to you, how they phrase stuff, how they answer the questions. You can tell if they are 100% in or they are kind of like
they're out.
50.
Yeah.
So I think like, I mean, if you are dating for the first time and you're like in your, you know, teenage years or whatever,
first of all, cherish it.
Probably you don't
chaotic,
know that. But if you're in your 20s or 30s, come on, like you at that point went through a few, or not, I don't know, I don't want to assume again, but if you have done a few datings, relationships, and kind of got brokenhearted or, you know, whatever happened, you can read these signals, I think, quite early on.
True.
Or I'm just that great. No, that was a joke.
You're fabulous.
So yeah. Anyway,
before we draw our conclusions.
So basically, one friend is saying yes. I still want to know what happened there. And the second friend, what did she say?
No, it's just like it's possible for them to be monogamous, but like
they need to be in the right state of mind.
They need to be in the right state, and they also find like comfort in you and feel fulfilled being with you, basically. And I'll repeat the quote again, is like, it's once they realize that their lives are easier with women in them, then they're going to be more ready to settle down. Which is kind of like
undertone. Yeah, like undertone.
It's a little sad.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
It's like you basically have to prove that, like...
do you agree? What's your take?
I feel like I sadly do. I don't think it should be like that, though. But...
With which
I think because we kind of have the same standard. It's like you go on a date, you're trying to suss out of like what do you bring to the table and like how are you gonna make my life better than it already is. So I think it goes both ways. But I think women are much more willing to compromise in that sense than men. Unless you know. So yeah, because either way, being together should make your life better, not worse.
That's true.
Yeah. So I agree with that. How about you?
I don't think I agree.
Okay.
I think it really is about all of the things we just discussed today. And I've been lucky, I guess, enough to have had relationships where I never felt like this. I met some great, incredible men, and I shared some parts of my life with them, and they never made me feel like this. I also met some crappy guys, but because most of the relationships I've been in, so the ones that actually, you know, chose to go into a relationship, the majority was the opposite. I would say that they were nothing but great. I mean, everyone has their own demons, but I never felt this negative about it. I would say it really depends on the person and the connection. You can be as monogamous as you can be situationship-like, depending on whether your heart is healed or not, how
Fair. Yeah.
What is your opinion about like relationship in general? Like, are you polygamous, monogamous, whatever? The how well you know each other and what you want. And I think even if sometimes you are kind of just looking around and then you meet the person that is just like takes over your life, suddenly all these things will just make sense because it's the connection. So I wouldn't blame men here. I just think men are more selfish and have better boundaries. Like if they don't want to, they will just not do it and they will straight tell you like, oh no, or they will just like do whatever they want and not really caring. Women are much more caring and thinking about other people, which is great, but I also think that's what makes us suffer more if we are in that type of situation.
We're just a little prone to it, yeah.
So that would be my conclusion.
Wow.
And
okay.
Kerry's conclusion is, in a city of infinite options, sometimes there is no better feeling than knowing you only have one.
It's not really an answer, Carrie. Not an answer.
I think it's just, girl, you fell for the trap once again.
No, but I think like they finally had the conversation, even though it was more in metaphors, because they, before she said that, right?
I would
she
not believe anything he would tell me at that point. No way.
But
Words
he showed
is
up
one
at 3
thing.
a.m.
Yes,
and then
but
she's like,
but
she's
why?
not even mentioning it. Well,
but why is he there? Is he there because he still wants to keep her as an I mean, obviously, but it doesn't mean that you're serious. You can just be
but
like,
she
oh, yeah, I don't wanna
finally
leave
has the
this
conversation with him. But it's not, again, it's not direct, it's in metaphors. She says like, hey, I think I finally found someone I want to stand still with. And I don't know if he took that seriously or not seriously. And they just kind of stood there for a while, and she then said that quote. But I think, she made her intentions clear as like she would want to be exclusive.
I don't think she made it clear. I think she made it metaphorical, and he took
and went over his head.
And he took an advantage of it. I'm sorry, I might be just irrational here. She romanticized the situation and was again a little bit delusional in this response as a result of whatever this intimate moment was about. Honestly, I think he very much could have just said it because it was like, I'm gonna say whatever she wants to hear to keep this going because I am benefiting from it. Why would I not do it?
Yeah.
And to me, I would not believe anything he says. I want to see actions. So you can tell me you love me or you are committed. Okay, I want to see that you are actually doing it. Until that would happen, I would not believe him anything. And it would make me very insecure. But that's like a question of, is that even worth it to be in that relationship?
Yeah, it definitely should not make you feel anxious or insecure. And I think that's what she was feeling. For sure.
Yeah. I think it was like sad. What she said though is true. I do think it's so beautiful when in cities like huge cities like New York or London, where it's sometimes hard to make like a real connection. When you find that one person, it's just beautiful. I mean, probably in general. But do I think that their case was the reflection of it? No.
For sure. And I think that's very similar to like most things, right? So like I moved back to DC a year ago, and one of the things I was most worried about is like I literally don't have any friends left here. And then I met my one friend, and that made all the difference, right? And it's like I think it's like that with definitely with relationships as well. It's like you're on like your journey and everything else, and like your life is good. You probably have like a good job, like you have a good friend group, you have a lot of hobbies, and you're a pretty well-rounded person. But then if you meet someone that like really sparks your interest, really sparks like your emotions, you get the butterflies, it is kind of like life-changing. That's why I think like all of us are so like addicted to it. And again, alluding to last episode about like the drugs and like love and things like that, but there is that feeling and you do get those endorphins from it, so it is almost life-changing. I agree.
Although having butterflies, I have heard various opinions
Could be
about whether
misleading.
it's good or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we have answered the
Our
question and kind of concluded.
Do you agree with it?
As of like what she said?
Yeah, or also the main question of like, has monogamy become too much to expect? And do men have an innate aversion to it?
I think dating apps, and I will probably mention this in every episode from now on, I think dating apps really, unfortunately, made it worse because it just made dating a game of numbers and fast gratification, which is never good. I also think many people are just randomly looking. There is not much intention in what they're doing. So because of that, I don't think you can expect monogamy from it. As a default, there are a few people who are not doing it or who are not on dating apps, and I think they are doing it exactly for this reason and maybe trying to be more real with it. So it depends where you are standing also. I think if you are too much in dating apps, you might have skewed perception of how bad it is. At the same time, it's not easy to find or bump into people somewhere else if you are working in an environment and it's not a big organization. Just we do hobbies. I don't think it's too much to expect. It's just read the room, or ask. Honestly, ask.
Yeah.
Like, why is it bad that you would ask? I would never ask this on a first date, but second date, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for something serious? And if they don't give you like an answer you want, I mean, just go, because at that point you're not attached yet.
Yeah, for sure. I also think that, like, I agree with the point of, like, the dating apps basically giving you that, like, almost choice paralysis, that choice overload of, like, there are too many options. So even though you think you might have found someone interesting, you're like, well, what else is out there? Like, the grass always seems greener. And so you're like, on to the next thing. And it's almost exhausting. And I think that's why, like, yes, we have the benefit of dating apps because it's connecting people that we may have never met otherwise. And again, it was prevalent in COVID because you couldn't find people otherwise or chat to them. But I think it is prone to becoming too overwhelming and making people lose focus and making people have a harder time making genuine connections.
Exactly. Yeah. But I will just, finish this by connecting my great and smart advice of last hour to my initial opening line. I'm really good with giving advice. I'm not that great in figuring out what to do with my own life, so I don't want to sound like I have it all figured out. We don't, and it's easy to judge a situation when you are not emotionally invested. It's a totally different scenario when they're emotional and you're just all around the place. If it's like not what you wanted.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't act rationally because of it, so it's like it's a little harder in that sense. So, I mean, I'm known to it. Like, I'm actually one of those people that, like, I really trust my gut and my feelings and my emotions do. And sometimes it's not a good thing, but, like...
No, I think you should... I mean, emotions, no. Gut feeling, I think you should always trust.
Yeah, but my gut is connected to my emotions. Like, I am definitely... And maybe this is my astrology thing, and maybe it's because I'm a Pisces and I'm in my, like, delusional, dreamy la-la land. But... I can think rationally. I won't always act rationally because my emotions are just like elsewhere.
I think I will act not rationally until I am in such a mess that my rational side will be like, "What the hell did you do again?" And let's now like
last weekend.
That has been me in the last 10 years of my life. It's like maybe that's the beauty of being a Gemini, that you literally have two opposite personalities, and they are
You
like
have two options. You wake up every morning, you're like, which one am I today?
oh, it's not every morning, it's every like hour. My mood.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like I think one of the repeating feedback that I've got is that I'm very moody, and people have hard time to kind of like calculate what they can expect when they meet me, like what mood I will be in.
Interesting.
I just think that's me being, genuine and not faking it, but apparently it is making it hard for people to know what to expect.
I guess, yeah.
So, but anyway, let's close this. This is my answer.
We've had a very fruitful, spicy episode. It will definitely be marked as explicit.
So you are more like, you are more on the side of your friend, saying partially yes.
I don't think men have an aversion to monogamy. It's just they sometimes choose not to be exclusive. And sometimes they're clear about it, sometimes they're not.
Is it only men, or you think everyone?
I think women do that too, actually. Yeah, and that's why I think like clarity, communication, and security in a relationship are the best things. But it's definitely a challenge sometimes early on. But sometimes you do understand people's intentions and they're very clear about it. So yeah,
that's true. Well,
I think that's
it, right? Okay, great. Then I would say this is the end of episode 7 about the monogamous. Thank you, everyone that joined us today. Either it's in evening or morning or afternoon, and we'll
be back.
Next week again. Thank you.
Wait, I gotta check what the next episode is. Please hold. I need the name. 1 second.
Oh my god. I really try my best to do like a proper ending, and Alright, well.
Okay, the next episode before we close out. 3 is a crowd. Ooh. Are we gonna talk about threesomes now?
Well, that is gonna be an interesting topic if we do.
I'm excited. Alright, let's properly close out. Thank you, everyone. Okay. We'll be back next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.